All right, welcome out to another episode of the Pirates Cove podcast. This is episode number 97. That's right, we're real close to 100, 97. And today, of course, on the Pirates Cove, we talk Rockport-Fulton Pirates sports. Particularly, we're going to be talking about our Rockport-Fulton Pirates boys soccer team. They have a big playoff game tomorrow night in Corpus Christi, Cabinets Field. Game time starts at 6 o'clock. So, of course, I've got the head man, the head coach of the Pirates, Coach Mike Elkins, talk a little bit about the Pirates and the playoff game. Coach, good evening, and how you doing this evening?
Doing fine. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir, Coach. Thank you for coming out and spending a little time with me on the Pirates Cove. I know you've got a big game tomorrow. You're traveling to Corpus, not too far. You're going to be playing against a tough Hidalgo team. I've kind of looked a little bit on their schedule. This is a tough team, but I think it's going to be a good challenge for the Pirates. I think it's going to be a good game. And if we go out there and play our game, Coach, I think we might surprise Hidalgo here and get the win. We shall see tomorrow, Coach. But I got a few questions for you this evening. And the first one, I want to kind of just talk about the season. This year, I know coming out of last year, we were district champs. We didn't get the district title this year. But nonetheless, it was a different district, playing some tough teams, some new teams we hadn't played before. So it was a challenging year for us, but we made the playoffs. So I just kind of wanted to have you sum up just what the season was like this year for you, the non-district. We talked a little bit about the district. There were some tough teams, London, Beeville. Just kind of talk a little bit about the district and the non-district. You want to just kind of sum up the season this year, 2023 season.
I'll start off with our preseason schedule. We play 8 or 9 games every year, and typically we're probably, 6 wins. I'm sorry, a couple of wins, 6 losses, a tie, maybe something like that. I don't play the same formation in back-to-back games. I want to see who we have and what formations seem to work for us. This year we did the same thing, but we were 5 wins, 2 losses, and 2 ties, and that was against 8 5A schools and 1 6A school. One of the losses out of the 2 was to Veterans Memorial when we didn't have 4 starters, and the other loss came to Mission High out of the Valley, which is a 6A school. Victoria East and West, a few years back, it's been 3 or 4 years, very respectfully, both coaches declined to play us over the last 3 or 4 years. They said they just need better competition. We would lose to them 7-1, 8-2, somewhere in that. We beat both of those schools this year, along with GP, Ray. And so we had a very successful preseason. And that was still trying to test the waters with who we had in different formations. We're not like a football team. We don't run the slot T or I or whatever whatever they run in football. We have to kind of see who's tall and who's short and who's fast and who's not so fast and who's going to fit in the best position. So it takes a little bit of fine tuning, and we had a good, very successful preseason.
Yeah, and Coach, there's talent on this team. There was talent last year. If you don't come out and watch the soccer boys, these guys are doing some amazing things at a very young age. You talked the other day about, a couple of years ago, you had some of these kids that are on the team now. You had maybe an uncle play for you. You had maybe an older brother. So it's kind of been like a family somewhat, a younger sibling that may be in elementary now, middle school, be coming up hopefully, and you'll be playing for them. But it's worked out for us, Coach. We've had some talented kids defensively, offensively. We talked about a kid in Cristobal de Leon who scored over 50 goals as a sophomore, which to me is amazing. Jonathan Ledesma is still a young kid. He's a sophomore. These are just kids that I know offhand. I don't know the whole team. So there is definitely a lot of talent on this team, Coach, that you're going to have next year, and I think the next couple of years. And then we go into the district here, and the district was a little different. We lost twice to Beeville and twice to London. Those were the two teams that we lost to. But coach, the second game to London, I was really shocked when we lost. I think it was 8-2 to London the first go around. And I remember I was thinking to myself, I didn't think we were going to lose to them that bad. I just thought we would play better. So I just kind of figured in my mind, we just didn't play our game. We'll get them next time. And that second go around here in Rockport, which was just about a week ago, was a pretty good game. It was 2-1. I think it came down to a penalty kick that they got and scored. Kind of talk to us a little bit about the district this year. I know it's a little disappointing because, losing twice to these teams, but overall, I still think it was a successful season for us. But just kind of sum it up a little bit. What was the district like for this team this year?
Yeah, I tell the boys in most sports, you have a preseason, a district season, and a playoff season. And we started out strong in our preseason, and our district season was we were all over the place. And in our district, we had teams that were just really, really weak and teams that were really strong. It wasn't just consistent. And for example, Ingleside was a team that in their 4-year history, they made the playoffs this year. We opened district with them. We were down 1-0 and 2-1 at halftime before we won 5-3, but very competitive there. And Alice is always competitive. Beeville's never beaten us 2 games in a season. We've split a couple of times. We took probably 20 shots in our home game and scored 1, and they took 3 shots and scored 3. Sometimes it happens that way. In the London game over there, when we were on the road, they beat us 8-3. And I'm telling you, that game could have been 16-3. I do not know what happened. It's just my brain will explode trying to figure out what happened there. But, even in that game, the coach came up and said, "Coach, your talent is tremendous." And I thought he was just being nice. But when we played them here at home, we missed opportunities. I mean, it's just the way the game goes, but their first goal was extremely weak. I called it their team and our team went student body right, and the ball went left, and just a really weak ball went in, scored. And then with about 10 minutes left in the game, we gave up a direct kick just outside the box, and the guy just hammered it in the upper right-hand corner, and that was the game 2-1. But I think we kind of play up to our competition and down to our competition. Replaying those games that we lost, hindsight 2020, you always think, oh, if we would only done this and that. But I will say it was a very competitive district. And also, we went from a 10-game district schedule the last 2 years to a 16-game district schedule. And that takes its toll, and it takes its toll on you because when you're playing 8 teams twice, you get to know each other. That's the fun thing about the playoffs. I think they don't know us and we don't know them. And so let's just get out there and see what happens.
Yeah, and like I said, I still think it was successful for us, and we're going to play these teams again next year, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the returning guys that'll be coming back. But Coach, I'd like to talk a little bit about the seniors. It's something new that we're doing here on the Pirates Cove is that when we cover the programs and the teams, one thing I want to start doing, and we're going to start it with you tonight, is to kind of honor our seniors a little bit. So I know there's, I think, 5 or 6 seniors that you have on the roster that will be graduating and will not be returning. I'd like for you to just kind of mention each one of them, kind of talk a little bit about them, some of their talents, if you want, what they meant to this team, what they mean to you, how long have they been on the team, whatever you'd like to say about these guys. I know particularly, I would like to know how long they were on in the program, but anything else you want to talk about or mention? Was it 6 seniors, did you say, or 5 seniors?
5 seniors.
5 seniors, yes, sir. So, Coach, if you can just kind of, you can start with whichever one you want, just kind of say a little something about them.
Yeah, I'll go in alphabetical order. The first one is Alex Cardion, and I had his older brother, Max, and Alex was it all depends, and we're probably splitting hairs, a 3 or 4 year varsity player. He came up at the end of his freshman year, and he's been so steady that it just seems like he's been there for 6 or 7 years. Alex is a defender, and he could even be a goalkeeper. He is a goalkeeper. He's my backup goalkeeper, but he's a heck of an athlete, and doesn't say a lot, but extremely competitive. And he'll bark when he needs to bark. But he knows his job and he does it well. My other senior is Ian Lascano. I had his older brother, Richard. Ian is a 3-year letterman. He plays up front on the left forward spot. Same position his brother played and ended up taking the same number after his brother graduated, number 7. And he's a kid that he's not going to get all the accolades or the limelight like a Cristobal, but he's the one that's up front making Cristobal successful. One of the cogs in the wheel that does that with assist and being there, and he plays 100% all the time till his tank is empty. The other senior is on the right side, and that is Juan Vasquez. And Juan is a 2-year letterman. I won't have him for the playoffs. He tweaked a knee a couple of weeks back. He is as close to a human water bug as you can get. He's very deceiving in his speed, and people look at him like, what's this guy doing? But Juan is wicked fast and tenacious, and he's the mirror image of Lascano. One's on the left side, one's on the right side, with Cristobal being in the middle. Elize Toledo, first year up on varsity, defensive player. He'll fill in somewhere around sweeper or defender. And he just kind of assumed that role. That's what he played at JV, so we didn't change things too much for him. And he's just solid when we need to make a substitute. I said I was going in alphabetical order. I kind of jumped around because I left Anthony Orantes, or Tony, out. He's kind of one of my favorite stories. Tony came out as a senior, never playing an organized sport. I say that, I think he might have played football this year, but I will tell you in no uncertain terms in the audience that nobody comes out their senior year and makes my squad. Nothing personal, but I've got kiddos in the program that are going through the JV process, and they put their time in, and I didn't know this kid. And our tryouts are a little deceiving. You only have a couple of days to try out, and there's only so much you can see with these kids. But the players told me, they said, Coach, he plays with us at Memorial Park. I went to Coach Seibert, and I have to give him a lot of credit. I said, this kid's in your football program. Can you tell me a little bit about him? And he said, probably not going to be your top athlete, but whatever you tell him to do, he will give it 100% and he'll do it. And I said, well, that's my kind of kid. So it didn't take me long to put Tony out there to see what he could do. And I was pleasantly surprised. And I'll tell you that the only time he will come out of the game is if something is, a limb is hanging or something's broken, or yeah, I mean, he is just that key to, he plays a stopper position. So he's ahead of my fullbacks and behind my midfield. And really, he has that whole section from touchline to touchline by himself. And he is just, he's kind of the quarterback on the field, and he's everything a coach would ever want. And it's just been a pleasant surprise to have him there.
Well, that's a great story. And yeah, it'd be hard to have a senior just come right in and fit into your game. Like you said, you kind of see the younger guys. You're getting a look at the younger guys as they're freshmen and sophomores into your JV program, and then the kid just pops up, and you get some a good vibe, I guess, or you get coaches saying, hey, this kid's a good athlete. You bring him in, and then the story is, and this kid is really excelling, right, as a senior. So that's great. To have a kid like that, a senior, come out and be able to contribute to the team the way he has, Coach. I was thinking and debating, should I ask Coach, but these seniors, these 5 seniors that are leaving, do you know if they have any younger siblings in school that possibly we could be seeing coming up to the program here in the next couple of years?
I know that there is another Carrion, because I teach him He's in 8th grade, so he'll be in high school next year. And then there is a younger Liscano coming up. I think he's a few years away. And then I know that Tony is an only child. Toledo had an older brother in the program. So there's a couple of brothers still, and that's the seniors. I mean, I still have younger brothers that from the juniors. So yeah, there's siblings in the pipeline.
Okay, so I'm gonna just ask you this question, just because I know this kid. We talk a lot about on De Leon, Cristobal De Leon. Is there any little siblings coming up from Cristobal De Leon?
There is Angel is coming up, and I don't know if you were going to ask or if I have to jump in there, but I have 7 players on my current roster, and Cristobal's one that I started my coaching career here with their older brothers.
Wow.
So I have 7 little brothers right now that are currently on the roster from our first district championship team, and they are so totally different than their older brothers, just night and day opposite. And maybe we can get into that, but yeah, they're still I'm still looking. There's still some in the pipeline, still some little ones coming up.
That's always good to hear, and I talk to other coaches. They look for that. They look for the younger, the younger siblings. Yeah, you got to always, I think, as a coach, just kind of look at what's coming up, right? And it's great because you've talked a lot about, and you've had some of the older brothers. So it seems like if there's younger siblings that are coming up, they pretty much play for the program to stay here in Rockport. I think that's always good to be able to see an older sibling. Coach, how long have you been here? You said 9 years.
Yeah, I started my first year was 2015.
Wow.
So maybe 8. I guess would be my 8th season.
8th season. Wow, that's good. And it's always good to know if there's any younger siblings. I just, when you were talking, I said, I'm just going to ask the coach and see if he'll answer the question. I just wanted to see if there were any younger siblings, because I'm really getting into this soccer program here. It's really good to see these guys, because last year I saw more of the games than I did this year. And coach, there's some talent. There's just a lot of talent that you have on this team. The team talent, right? But there's guys individually that do a lot. I think a lot of people really don't know just how good our soccer program and continues to be. We're competitive every year, whether we win a district title or not. We're competitive every year. Seems like we're always fighting, for a playoff spot here the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, the first year I coached, I had 12 sophomores. And we came in 4th place. And the next year we won district. And then we have finished in 2nd place every year up until last year when we won district again. And this year, just with, some bad breaks, it was my first time to have a team that finished in 3rd place. And by no means were we a 3rd place team. We just had better talent than that. So I'll take the hit for that. But the current team that we have has 11 juniors, and that can be good or bad. In my perfect world, you would like to have 5 sophomores, 5 juniors, and 5 seniors, and just lose a third of them every year. And so we'll lose 5 this year at the end of the season, but we'll lose 11, maybe 12 next year. But what's funny about these juniors, I say funny. What's interesting about it is when I had their older brothers, I said, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm watching my little brother play down at Memorial Park. So my wife and I would get the lawn chairs and go watch them. And I thought, they're not half bad for 8, 9-year-old kids, 10-year-old kids, whatever they were. And then all of a sudden, that whole team showed up, in high school, and here they are, and they played together for so long. And that's an advantage for us, because the London teams were playing, and the corporate schools that we play have a number of kiddos in select program. We have one. We don't have the luxury of driving to Corpus and playing on a select team, and so any advantage we get, and they play a lot at Memorial Park. They show up. We leave the goals. We leave the goals up year round on our practice field, and every player, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, every single player, boys and girls, knows the combination to our soccer shed. And what Coach Lynch and I did back in the day when we got the shed is we furnished it with cones and balls and the little pug goals and everything they needed. And we said the first time a ball, the first time an air pump, the first time a cone comes up missing, we'll change the locks and you'll never get in. And that was probably 5 or 6 years ago. And we have never had an item come up missing. Those kids, they'll be up there tonight after hours, and the shed door will be wide open and they'll have all the equipment spread on the field. And after they leave tonight, it'll all be put up and it'll all be there. So that, you know, they can come anytime and play, and we encourage that. So I think that's really also helped benefited our program.
No, that's awesome to hear. And if you the times, and I've passed by there, and you always see, I don't know if it's the players, but you always see people playing out there. So I'm assuming that there are players. They have a lot of passion. These kids, they love soccer, and they love playing it. And I saw quite a few people, and I was going up to the baseball game. I knew this London game was going to be interesting. So it was great. Like I said, I think next year, with the amount of seniors and the experience that you'll have coming back next year, I know it's premature to be talking about next year, but just having that many seniors, there's a plus to it with all of the experience that we'll have. After next year, of course, we got to kind of regroup a little bit, but we get to go ahead and see the 11 guys. I'm really excited about what'll be coming back next year, Coach. But before next year, you got a big playoff game coming up tomorrow at Cabinets against a really tough Hidalgo team that, you know, I kind of looked at their schedule a couple of days ago. They've beaten some pretty good teams. They've got some wins over some tough teams. It'll be a good challenge for us. But like I tell people, hey, they're good, but we're good too, Coach. We've got talent too. And if you don't come and play your A game, we'll beat you. So my question to you is, can you talk a little bit about tomorrow's playoff game? What do you know about Hidalgo? I know you had a conversation with the coach. Not sure if you want to share it here on the podcast, but you're more than willing. I mean, I'm cool with it if you want to go ahead and share the conversation you had with the coach.
The coach and I go way back. So it was my second year of coaching. In the first year, we had made the playoffs, and we played Hidalgo. And again, I'm going to take the blame. We lost 3-2 right at the end of the game. But the coach and I have stayed in touch, and he always wants film on you know, our district teams, which I told him that's not going to happen. I'm not going to throw our district teams under the bus. So you can go get those films someplace else. But he's very competitive coach. He called me Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of last week. And so on Sunday, when he called, he said, Coach, I know you're playing Beeville. And he said, how do you think you're going to do? I said, I feel pretty confident. And he said, well, you need to win that game, because if you lose, you're going to play us. And I said, well, you know, I had heard that you guys had beat Bernie this year, who was a 2-time defending state champion. And so what do you mean we would play you if we should miss you if you win district? Well, they self-reported it 2 or 3, and it depends on who you talk to. I won't go into it, but illegal players. And so they had to take 3 or 4 forfeits. And the coach said their closest game in district was a 7-0 win, and most of their games were 11, 12, 13-0. But he told me, which I thought was really interesting, and he said it just like this. He said, Coach, I want you to know we will win state this year. That's exactly how he said it.
Wow.
And so I said, well, okay. And the next comment from him, he said, we'd like to play you guys in Corpus. Well, you normally meet halfway. Obviously, from Hidalgo to us, Corpus is not halfway. And I said, why would you want to come that far? And he said, well, the regional round games are going to be at Cabinets, and we want to get used to that field. So he's 4 games ahead already, you know, to the regional tournament. And he asked me what type of balls we used, and I said round ones that were green and white, and he wanted to know the brand. And I knew where he was going, but so finally we came to the conclusion. I said, Coach, I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do. I said, you be the home team. He said, okay. I said, you bring the ball boys. He said, okay. I said, you bring the refs. He said, okay. I said, you bring the balls. He said, okay. And I said, my team and I are going to show up Friday at 6 o'clock in our white uniforms. And he said, deal. So I told the boys that, and I said, hey, this is where we are. And so, it's when I first started coaching, the state championship went through the Valley. And then, the last couple of years, we were in a different district, and our first and second round opponents were out of the Austin area. So, I'm looking forward to playing the Valley because, you're going to see the top notch competition right out of the chute. And you can gauge where you are. And really, I told my players in years past, if you win that first game, maybe the second, it gets easier. And I firmly believe that if you get past the Valley teams, the trek to the state championship gets easier. So it'll be fun to see what they have. And, we don't have the luxury of traveling down there in preseason or getting in any tournament games with them. So it'll be interesting to see just what kind of talent they have. But I looked also, and our overall record is 17-6-2, and they're 19-6-2. So not too far off.
No, coach. And, I mean, I've seen the Valley teams. They do got some strong teams out there. Hidalgo definitely being one of them. But, you never know. Like you said, we lost some games in district that we should have won. It just depends on, how we come out and play. I mean, you never know. Injuries, unfortunately, also play a role in these games. An injury or two can turn the game around for either team. So
Yeah.
you just never know, Coach. What you go out there, you play your game, you worry about what you do, and then let the chips fall where they may. But Coach, I would ask you this: when you told the players about this, what did it motivate them at all? Did they get hyped up? I'm talking about our players. Did they know what they were saying? Because it just kind of seems like they're just kind of, we already got the win. We're going to go to Corpus. We're going to get the win, and we're moving on to the second round, which I think is always a mistake when a coach does that. When our players found out, was that an extra motivation? Because we've got talent here. These boys can play soccer. You just don't bypass these guys. We're a dangerous team.
Yeah. I will tell you that some of my parents, before we even started the season, they wanted to go to tournaments in Dallas and Austin. And it's just not going to happen. Select teams do that. You're restricted a little more with high school teams. So what I did is I booked all preseason games with 5A schools. And to me, that was challenge enough, and we did very well. My kids were not intimidated. They're not intimidated by 5A schools. We played Mission High out of the Valley. The coach told me we're a 6A school, and we're not a bad 6A school at all, Coach. We got beat 2-1, and we missed a PK with about 7.5 minutes left in the game, penalty kick, where they had a foul in the box. And so that would have at least tied it. But I'll tell you, you asked the question on how they reacted. It's a funny group. Their older brothers, I would scream at and talk about their mothers to get them motivated. And this group, you cannot do that. I mean, they're hopefully none of them see this interview. They're much more sensitive. I can't scream at them. They know what they need to do. They know how to do it. And so basically, there's not a lot of halftime speeches. There's not a lot of pregame speeches at this stage of the game. At this where we are in the year now, that they know what to do. And so they're like, when I tell them what was said, they're like, well, we'll just show up and see what happens. They're an interesting bunch. They are hard to figure out. You just don't get a lot. I mean, you better ask a direct question if you want a direct answer, because they're not going to offer any more than yes, no, or whatever. So you have to know how to phrase your questions to this group. But they're a fun bunch. So
Wow.
they're not intimidated. They'll play anybody.
Yeah, and I guess the biggest thing is just go out there and have fun. I mean, have fun out there. I think I've when you put a lot of pressure on yourself, things usually don't go your way. Like you said, we're at a point at this part of the season where you can't really teach them anything else. I mean, they already know what they need to do. It's just to go out there. You know what kind of players you have. They know what kind of players they are, the defense and the offense. I guess it's just a matter of going out there, having some fun, and just play the game like it's any other regular district or non-district game, right? And don't worry about that. They're putting in their guys and we're putting in ours. I feel confident, Coach. I know what we've got. I read articles and stuff that's posted on your team, and so hey, look, if they think they can overlook us, I think that might be a plus for us. We might go in there and shock them. I mean, they can score, we can score. So just let the chips fall where they may, Coach. It's going to be a great game. It all starts tomorrow in Corpus, not too far of a drive here from Rockport. So if you can get out there and cheer the Pirates on, please take that drive to Cabinets Field. Game time starts at 6. It's going to be a really good game. A really good Hidalgo team will be coming into Corpus Christi to take on your Rockport-Fulton Pirates, first round of the playoffs. Definitely get that win and try to get to the second round. It'll be a good one. Coach, I do have a community question for you before we let you go. And it was kind of just, they wanted me to ask, what's been special about this team and this season? Is there a few things or one particular thing that you'll look back after the dust settles after the season and wherever we end up, you'll look back and something that you'll remember for a lifetime with this group, particularly this season, or a moment that was funny or was real serious, something that maybe something special about this team that you'll remember for a long time?
As silly as this is going to sound to you and your audience, and I talk about this team, and they're pretty much, they toe the line, and they're not going to do anything too wild and crazy. But we had a home game this year, and they all showed in home teams, you wear your darks. When you're on the road, you wear your white. And we had a home game this year, and they all showed up in a white uniform. And I said, okay, what's going on here? What are you trying to pull? Is the joke on me or whatever? Well, we had actually played, and this was on a Tuesday. We had actually played a game on Friday night. And after the game, I had one of my players jump in his car with dad and go visit grandma out of town. And at grandma's house, he left his home uniform. And so the boys got together and just said, hey, you don't have your home uniform, we'll wear our whites. And I'm like, guys, it doesn't work that way. But just, I went and got him another uniform. I had extra uniforms, but just the fact that they were going to solve the problem on their own together for one of their teammates and say, we got you. And that's how, if we had a little motto, and this sounds kind of silly, but the motto might be, we got you. That they lift each other up. They have their back. Right now we've got 3 starters that are out, two for sure. 2 will not come back this year. Their injuries are that severe. 1 is questionable. And just like any sport, we don't, it's not that soccer is any different than any other sport, but it's all about chemistry. And when you take 1 or 2 out, and I tell people that I had one player about 5 or 6 games ago that was injured, and when I filled in his position and then substituted for the one I moved, I ended up with 5 changes because one player was out. I covered his position, then I had to fill that guy, and then I had to fill that guy, and then I had 5 players had to move for one being out. And so, the guys are like, we got you, we'll don't worry about that. And so it's been, as silly as it sounds, that's kind of the one thing that'll probably always stick in my mind, how this kid was upset because it was a 2.5-hour drive back to grandma's, and he wasn't going to get that uniform. And I think he was afraid to ask me if I had a extra, and they're like, we got you. We're just all going to show up in our white uniform. So,
That was nice.
Yeah,
That was,
they're that type of team.
wow, that's a great story, Coach. That's what team is all about, right? They unite, and they're one team, right? And that showed a lot when the boy didn't have his uniform. Hey, well, we're all going to wear the same, even though, like you said, you gave the uniform, but just the fact that they were willing to do that without having their coach involved, just getting it all together, speaks volumes for the type of team and the type of kids and athletes that we have here at Rockport-Fulton. So again, tomorrow your Rockport-Fulton Pirates will have their first round playoff game. It'll start at 6 at Cabinets Field in Corpus Christi, a 30-minute drive, man. If you can get out there, support your Rockport-Fulton Pirates as they take on the Hidalgo Pirates versus the Pirates. It should be a good one. We do have a couple of injuries, but this is a very talented team. We're definitely going to go out there and get that win, hopefully, and get into a round number 2. Coach, thank you very much for spending some time with me. I want to wish you some good luck from the Pirates Cove here, GT Sports. Hopefully, we can go out there. The game, be competitive. And let's get that win and go to the second round. I know you and your team are going to do everything you can. But I'll give you the final word here on the Pirates Cove. Anything you'd like to add before we call it a night?
Well, what I would like to say is kind of reiterate what you said. If you hadn't seen us play, we're a fun team to watch, and you know, again, I tell people, I've said all along, we will line up and play anybody in the state. That doesn't mean we're going to win every game, but we're not afraid to play 5A schools or 6A schools, or, you know, the kiddos aren't intimidated. So we're a fun team to watch. And hopefully we'll show up and give it our all, and win, lose, or draw, we are going to leave it on the field. No doubt about it. We'll use up everything in the tank.
And that's all you can ask from your coaches and your athletes as a Pirate fan here at the community of Rockport-Fulton, is just go out there and give it 100%, let the chips fall where they may. But I'm definitely sure that our boys are going to go out there and leave it all on the line. And that's all as a fan that you can ask from our coaches and our players. And again, Coach, I'll tell you this, because I always tell coaches when they come on, they don't give themselves props. Our coaches, they don't ever, you know, give themselves props. You know, they'll take the blame when we lose, but when we do something good, you coaches that have come on here on the Pirates Cove, and there's been quite a few of you guys that have come on, you never give yourself the hype, right? You always kind of downplay, but you're on the Pirates Cove, you know, we'll do it for you. Coach Elkins, you've been here a while. You've definitely put our program on the map. I've watched from afar. I've been close up. I think we're very blessed to have you here. Our program, we win some and we lose some, but we're very competitive. And we want some district titles. And I think you're doing a phenomenal job with your assistant coach to put this team where we're at, and very competitive, playing against bigger schools. I don't know if we're getting more players every year, if our team is growing or not, but the times that I've been out there and I've seen what we have a very good soccer program here. And I really think it's only going to continue to get better. So thank you, Coach, for all of the stuff that you do by going out there with your wife and watching our younger youth, looking at the talent that possibly could be coming up. We're very blessed to have Coach Elkins here, and for the amount of time that you've been here. And I've also heard some really good things. My kids often talk and say some good things about Coach Elkins. I didn't know who you were. I just knew your name, but I never knew who Coach Elkins was. And yeah, he's down there on the field, but I never knew who you were. But my kids, both of them, talked highly of you when they were in school here in Rockport. So we're just blessed to have you. Thank you for the job that you do, sir. Continue, and good luck tomorrow, Coach Elkins, as you take on Hidalgo. And hopefully we will be going to the second round. But I know we're going to leave it all on the line. So good luck tomorrow, Coach. Thank you for coming on, spending some time with me here on the Pirates Cove, and we look to talk to you soon.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
Okay, thank you.